Hello, my friends. It's been a long time since I've done a review, and this one is a very recent one. For those who don't know, the title of this game is called Puzzle and Dragon Z and and Puzzle and Dragon Super Mario Bros. Edition. They are based off a series in which is known as Puzzle and Dragons. Now, Puzzle and Dragons tells the story of a group of organization, two groups. One known as the Dragon Tamers, and the other is Paradox. Now, the Dragon Tamers are basically a cross between Pokemon trainers, duelists, and the Digidestined. I'm gonna put it like that. Because I look at my character, and yeah, that's my main character. That's the main character you can use in the game. You can either be male or female. And technically, your character is like a cross between all three I mentioned. It has a Pokemon aspect, even though it doesn't play like Pokemon. It plays more like Tetris Attack, and or I think maybe Puyo Puyo. It has various puzzle elements from other games. But the difference here is, since it has a Pokemon aspect, you can evolve, but the difference here in evolving is that you need chips in order to evolve to a different level. Now, I have to say, I played this game for about 2 days. I'm still learning aspects of trying to pull off, a perfect team synchro. And yes, you do fight as a team. You can't fight the way you usually fight. I mean, picture this: you're playing as a group. You're a group of specially trained monsters that you picked yourself. And these monsters have different attributes. These attributes are fire, water, wood, light, and darkness. Water, yeah. Oh, I also forgot to mention sky, but that's okay. In any case, yeah, you have fire, water, light, darkness, and wood. I would like to call it wood slash wind because they kind of act the same way. But if you know how to play Pokemon, this is about the same way, except that for a couple of changes, a well, it doesn't play like Pokemon. Like I said before, you do have a team of six, in which makes your total HP. Now, the way to do it is you have to knock down their team with yours, and depending on how your team is set up, they can easily one shot a group or possibly do shit damage or shit to pinch damage. I'll just say it like that. There are certain levels. I mean, I'll say this: the levels, they get ramped up instantly if you don't know what you have to deal with. You do have two friends who are just going to basically be tutorials. They're just going to say, "Oh, hey, such and such. You know, when you run across this, you're going to get randomized randomized stats, or something like that. Yeah, about that. The difference in this game, and the difference between that game and Pokemon, is that in Pokemon you use items. Here, you have to use your puzzle grid. To heal, you have to basically make 4 of a kind, 5 of a kind for attacking and defense. And the only defense you actually have is technically to heal. You have to form 4 or 5 hearts, 3 to 5. Well, actually, I should say this: 3 to 5 hearts, and it'll give you like, oh, I don't know. You can set it up for combos. That's the best way you can do it. And of course, you can actually fight off, like, maybe by using the 5 elements. You can technically whip some ass if you know the right element to use, because basically you're playing with elements. I mean, my current team is that of fire, light, wind. Wind/wood, because they both work together. They both work together. And I do have a few dark elements. I mean, yeah, dark dragons. Yes, because the whole entire game is basically dragons. You're basically just going to go through all this. Now, that guy right there that you see, his name is Dogma. And Dogma is the leader of Paradox. And the plot goes like this. Dogma awakens after so long, after we're going to say about a millennium. What he does is he uses his power to break the world into pieces. But not just pieces, puzzle pieces. So your character has to basically save the world, has to go save the world piece by piece. Seriously, you have to go save the world piece by piece. And every time you go to the world map, you have to go through every dungeon. And go through every dungeon, beat the boss, beat the head boss, and grab map pieces. Now, when you grab map pieces, you make more of the level. And when you do that, you take on more enemies, you gain more levels, you gain eggs and chips. Now, the reason why there are eggs and chips are basically, for eggs, they're basically, they're like, say the Pokeballs. Except that, in this case, what you can do to your monsters is, you can hatch them. I almost forgot Monster Rancher too. Yeah, you can hatch them, you can evolve them, and of course, you can change them, and of course, if necessary, destroy them. And the entire time, all you're going to do is you're going to get... Unlike Pokemon, instead of getting 1, you get 3. You get 3 dragons to choose from. I mean, you get 3 dragons instead of 1. Because like I said, it works like Pokemon, even though it doesn't play like Pokemon. But you did get 3 leader dragons. 1 fire, 1 wood slash wind, and 1 water. Each of them have specific attributes that can help you along the way. Like, 1 can heal, 1 can boost attack, another can give defense. And as soon as you go through the rest of the world, you'll encounter you'll encounter more of Paradox. You'll encounter more, members of Paradox. And I'll just say this: Paradox is something like the various teams in the Pokemon universe, like Team Rocket, Magma, Aqua. The list goes on. But in the same fashion, you have to defeat them in order to advance. But they will cheat. And you have to learn how to properly cheat yourself. And for most times, like I said, you do have a helper. You do have a helper in which your sixth party member, I'm going to say, is quote unquote a striker. So it can either help you with attack, it can either give you like a little boost, or it can either give you a buff, a boost, or a special skill, or just outright heal you. Now, the sub officers in this, the sub officers are called genius. Yes, that's what they're called, geniuses. And every time you beat a genius, you actually get one of the special relics. I've only got one so far, and that's the wood dragon, relic. You do get relics, and you do basically give you optional dungeons you can actually go through, if you so choose to go through the dungeon. You do get a daily rune for visiting the character's dad every day. And every time you get a daily rune, you have to go to the Shrine Maiden to actually choose which rune you want to use, and then you go through it. The game itself, like I said, I actually like it because it's different. It doesn't play like Pokemon, even though it's somewhat Pokemon-esque. So far I can say I pretty much like the game because, well, it kind of breaks away from the monotony of trying to capture this and do that and do this and do that. Instead of me, going through wild grass and whatnot on the field, and I'm trying to run back and forth just to get this. No, I just go through a dungeon. And this is another thing. When you go through the dungeon, you have no control. You just basically start the dungeon, walk through it, and go into battle. That's all you're gonna do. You're just going to go in the dungeon, walk through it, and sometimes you might get a prompt to say which path you want to take, because there are branching paths. Like sometimes there are two, other times there are three, depending on what color you're going to make. Because as long as you make at least three, you can advance. Three of any color that shows up on the screen, you can advance. Otherwise, other elements, like say there's one light, one dark, and one fire. All the other elements do not count, even the heart ones. So you can't heal even if you wanted to. I've tried it before. You cannot heal. The same way can be said for when you come up to treasure chests. Now, when you come up to treasure chests, you either have to match a certain number, or make a certain number of combos, or say there's a color combination or a combo count, and you do earn items or volts. Volts are the currency of the game, so therefore you only use volts for basically evolution purposes. And trust me, you want to evolve your team as much as you can. So usually what you're going to do is mainly grind. You're going to have to grind a lot for like either eggs or chips. Now, if I not mention this, the first thing you're going to have to do is like once you go through the first world, it'll open up the following. You already have Zeus. Zeus is the one. Zeus is the one that will basically hatch your eggs. The second one is Athena. Athena will enhance your eggs. The third one is Hera, and Hera will basically, um, by way of chips, I believe, you will either evolve your eggs, enhance your. You will either evolve, enhance, or hatch. Those are the basics of all those the three machines there. Zeus will hatch your eggs. Hera will, I believe, enhance your eggs, and Athena will evolve your eggs. If I have gotten that in the wrong order, apologies. But I've been playing this game for like since Friday, and like I said, I've really been enjoying this game. It's one of those games that I don't mind having a break away from playing something like Pokemon, because Pokemon does get tedious. It does get tiring. But Puzzle and Dragons offers a little more challenge because it makes me think. It makes you. It makes you just think more on. It's more like it's a thinking man's game because it works the way it should be a puzzle. And I mentioned the main aspect of the game. Now there's the Super Mario Bros. Version, which works the same way, except that you got the same concept, except that it works on a stock. So in the case of this, yes, you work with a stock instead of say you work with life bar, but your life bar you only lose if you lose all your health, you lose a life, and you only have 3 lives to work with. But the good thing is, with the Super Mario Brothers edition of Puzzle and Dragons, you do not have to go all the way back to the map or back to town if you tend to lose all your health. But instead, you pick up right where you last left off, namely right there. And the thing about the Super Mario Bros. Version is that every encounter that you come across basically works just like Puzzle and Dragon Z, except that you're going on a little mini map, going straight ahead, or you do the same thing with branching paths. You have to make a combo to see which path you're going to take, whether it's the right one, left one, or sometimes there's a middle one. And for that, yeah, like I said, it's a very challenging game, but I do not mind a very challenging game, especially if it's a puzzle game. I do not mind a good puzzle game every now and then. Because like I said, no offense to Pokemon, but Pokemon does get a bit tedious, and it does get boring, and I need to take a break from it. Because if you notice, I somewhat kind of lose interest in Pokemon for a while, then I pick it back up again. So it's kind of like in order to save me from getting burnt out, I had to play something else. I mean, it's just normal. I'm just saying I do not like to play the same thing, which gets somewhat tedious and boring and somewhat, it fizzles out very quickly, and I don't like that. Very few games that I've played do give me that. It just burns me out, and it's not because the game itself. It might be the game, but it's like if you're not making progress in it, it's really not it's really not my cup of tea. But I will say this: if you are a matching puzzle type fan, if you like games like Tetris Attack, Pound de Pong, you might like this game because it plays just like Panel de Pong and Tetris Attack. Yeah, Panel de Pong and Tetris Attack. I mean, the story is really good, even though it has a Pokemon-esque kind of feel to it. I I say just try it. Just try it for yourself. I guarantee I guarantee you, you will not be bored by this. And even if you do, at least you know this game will somewhat make you want to continue playing it for a while. But other than that, you know, like I said, it's a recommendation. Try it for yourself. Don't take my word for it, but try it for yourself. I'm only just telling you how I like the game. I like the concept. I like everything about it. This is from my point of view. So aside from that, this has been a review of Puzzle and Dragon Z and Super Mario and Puzzle and Dragon Super Mario Bros. Edition. I will see you next time for more videos. And of course, as I mentioned before, more Let's Plays later on during the week. So stay tuned for that. So until then, take care, God bless, and of course, Tenkai Muso.